Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Oh man, we got people fighting for us now in crypto. The big boys. Law firm has come forward with like this big paper, and it's exposing the government and the banks. So we're gonna take a look at that in a second. And I just want to talk about the crypto markets. Holy crap! Look at Bitcoin, 28,000. Bank failures. What? Ethereum, BNB coin. Yeah. So they just got sued. They dropped off, woof, straight down, but they're starting to crawl their way back, right? Because America is not their only market. They have the world. They are the biggest crypto exchange out there. I have links in my website, the cryptorealm.com. XRP, holy cow. I have to respect XRP. Look at this. I love how they're handling themselves. Ripple in court, amazing, right? They're fighting against the SEC, which are pure corrupt scumbags. And look at Cardano, probably my favorite blockchain. Holy crap, straight up, 38 cents, almost 39. Great stuff. Let's just scroll down here. Anything else shooting straight up? Wrapped Bitcoin. And nothing else is shooting straight up. Oh, we got Stellar. Stellar's doing some pretty good things right now. All right, so I want to talk about this letter, right? I'm going to let Charles Hoskinson read the letter because he's better equipped to read this than I am. I'm just some dude, and you do not want to hear me struggle through this whole entire letter. But man, they make some great points. So the letter's like pretty long, but the boys that wrote this and women that wrote this, check this out. So Cooper and Kirk law firm. Here's their team. They have a big team. We'll start at the top just so you get an idea of who we have fighting for us. Education, Princeton. Education, Yale. And education, Harvard. So these are the big boys we have fighting for us. And the list goes on here. So they're a firm in Washington, D.C. They're pretty big. Look at that. Got those pink ties going. Woohoo! Yeah, so Cooper and Kirk, they have some pretty big, prestigious lawyers, and they're exposing the government and the banking system for doing a choke point on its competitors and crypto, and they're exposing them for breaking the law. So I'm going to leave it up to Charles Hoskinson now to explain it to you. He just reads through it and he gives some good points, way better than I could. But yeah, I like Charles Hoskinson because he's from day one, been on the front lines, exposing the government, exposing the banks, and anybody else that's against freedom and against open source and just decentralization for the world. That's why I like Cardano. That's why I like Charles Hoskinson. All right, lay back, relax, check out this little video. He explains it all, and we have the big boys fighting for us now. This is an amazing day. Screw them. All right, this is the Crypto Realm. Like, subscribe, comment. It helps break the YouTube algorithm. Play hard, trade smart, people.
All right. So over here, Cooper and Kirk is a law firm that's based in DC. They're a very respected firm. And they wrote this lovely document. I have a link to the document in the show notes. So if you go to my YouTube video and look at the description, you can see the link right there. But it's also up here, cooperkirk.com, and has that right there. I know I should zoom in a little bit. There we go. So you guys can actually see this. So what they did is they wrote a document that's about 30 pages long, 35 pages long. And this document describes Chokepoint and what's been happening in the cryptocurrency industry. So, one of the things we've noticed with this administration is they kind of lie by default about everything, but in particular about financial regulation. Their default answer for everything is, we're not doing that. And then you give them the evidence and they say, well, that evidence doesn't exist. So what I really like about this document that Cooper and Kirk has put together is they've actually meticulously resourced what's been going on and why what's been going on is unconstitutional. And it's not addressed to you and me, but it's actually addressed to the Congress, and it gives specific recommendations for how Congress can perform its duties. So I won't read the entire thing, but I will read the executive summary and then point out some highlights inside the document. Recent stories in the financial press have uncovered a coordinated campaign by prudential bank regulators to drive crypto businesses out of the financial system. Bank regulators have pushed informal guidance documents that single out cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency customers as a risk to the banking system. Businesses in the cryptocurrency marketplace are losing their bank accounts or their access to the ACH network suddenly and with no explanation from their bankers. The owners and employees of cryptocurrency firms are even having their personal accounts closed without explanation. Over the past 2 weeks, federal regulators have shut down a solvent bank that was known to be serving the crypto industry. And although it is required to resolve banks through the least cost resolution to the deposit insurance fund, the FDIC chose to shutter rather than sell the part of the bank that serves digital asset customers, costing the fund billions of dollars. This pattern of events is not random, and we have seen it before. This is not the first time that federal bank regulators, working with their state level counterparts, have abused their supervisory authority to label businesses unworthy of having a bank account and worked in secret to purge disfavored lines of commerce from the financial system. Beginning in 2012, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, and the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System carried out a coordinated campaign to weaponize the banks against industries that had fallen out of favor with the administration, including gun stores, pawn shops, tobacco stores, payday lenders, and a host of other brick and mortar businesses. That campaign was called Operation Chokepoint. Our firm successfully challenged Operation Chokepoint, and it was brought to a halt. The same current bout of regulatory overreach against the cryptocurrency industry is illegal for much the same as the reason of its predecessor. By the way, the same people who did Chokepoint 1.0 are back in power thanks to the Biden administration for Chokepoint 2.0. It's amazing how things always move in that direction. Number one, Operation Chokepoint 2.0 deprives businesses of their constitutional rights due to process and violation of the Fifth Amendment. It was well settled that when a federal agency attaches a derogatory label to an individual or business, and this stigmatized label causes the business to lose a bank account or broadly precludes them from the pursuit of their chosen trade, the agency has violated due process clause of the Fifth Amendment, unless if first afforded the individual or business a right to be heard. This is precisely what the federal bank regulators responsible for Operation Chokepoint 2.0 have done and continue to do by labeling crypto businesses a threat to the financial system, a source of fraud and misinformation, and a risk to bank liquidity. Two, Operation Chokepoint 2.0 violates both the non delegation doctrine and the anti commandeering doctrine, depriving Americans of key structural constitutional protections against the arbitrary exercise of government power. Three, by leveraging their authority over banks to acquire the power to pick and choose the customers whom banks may serve, the bank regulators have exceeded their statutory authority. The bank regulators are charged with supervising the safety and soundness of the banks. Their effort to anoint themselves the gatekeepers of the financial system and the ultimate arbiters of American innovation and American economic life cannot be permitted to stand. Four, the bank regulators are also refusing to perform their non discretionary duties when doing so will benefit the cryptocurrency industry. State banks that are statutorily entitled to access the Federal Reserve System are being denied their rights solely because they serve the crypto industry. The federal bank regulators are not free to pick and choose which statutory obligations duties they wish to perform. By the way, that's Custodia Bank in particular. The federal bank regulators are evading the notice and comment rulemaking requirements of the Administrative Procedures Act by imposing binding requirements on the banking industry through informal guidance documents. This is undemocratic since it deprives the public the right to comment on proposed rules, and it also runs contrary to the principle of judicial review, since courts lack the power to review informal agency actions. That's why they're doing it. Finally, the federal bank regulators are acting in an arbitrary and capricious fashion by failing to adequately explain their decisions, by failing to engage in reasoned decision making, and by failing to treat like cases alike. It is difficult to imagine a more arbitrary and capricious agency action than simultaneously placing a solvent bank into receivership solely because it provided financial services to the crypto industry while permitting insolvent institutions not tied to the crypto industry to continue operating. We therefore urge Congress to perform its oversight role and hold these agencies to account. In section 4 of this paper, we propose a series of questions that need to be answered and a series of steps that Congress should take in an effort to obtain these answers. First, Congress should require the bank regulators to produce their communications with supervised financial institutions and state regulatory agencies regarding the denial or regulation of access to the financial system by crypto businesses and banks that serve the crypto industry. Second, Congress should require the federal bank regulatory agencies to explain the basis for their conclusion that the safety and soundness of the financial system require the insulation of banks from blockchain technology, from customers who operate in the crypto space, and from state chartered depository institutions that are currently serving those customers. Third, Congress should make more clear to the federal bank regulators and all federal agencies that the notice and comment rulemaking requirements of the Administrative Procedure Act are not optional. The requirements imposed by the APA are not obstacles to be evaded by the use of informal guidance documents. Fourth, Congress should investigate the role of federal regulators in the decision by the New York Department of Financial Services decision to shutter Signature Bank. Congress should also determine the FDIC's role in excluding bidders who wish to acquire Signature's digital asset businesses from the bidding process. By the way, guys, that cost billions of dollars, and the federal government took the loss just to shell that out. So when they say it's not about crypto, they're lying. Fifth, Congress should investigate whether bank regulators are acting to squelch the private sector innovation in order to clear the field of competition for the benefit of existing federal regulated banks or for federal cryptocurrency alternatives. So that's the CBDC side of things. The persistent unwillingness of the nation's bank regulators to follow the law and obey the Constitution calls for congressional action. Cracks are starting to form in the American financial system as its regulators increasingly abuse their power to achieve aims outside their authority and beyond their competence. So, guys, this is not a letter written by some cryptocurrency guy. This is a letter written by a serious law firm, Cooper and Kirk. And when you look at it, you can see that they have extensive footnotes, and they go through step by step by step and talk about Chokepoint, and they talk about what the regulators are actually doing. And you can see all the citations that they have. So it's a fascinating read to go through this letter. And it's fascinating to see on dates, facts, these types of things. This is probably the most detailed letter I've seen about this. For example, right here on February 23rd, 2023, three federal banking agencies issued a second joint statement warning banks of the potentially heightened liquidity risk presented by the crypto industry. Some deposits by crypto companies may be sudden withdrawal should the customers of those companies decide in tandem to use the deposits by cryptocurrencies, blah, blah, blah. But then they go on and say, well, hang on along. Wait a minute here. There's not a problem here. Why are you talking about this? So I've just never seen a piece of work this detailed, and I highly recommend that you read into it. They specifically call out Custodia in this, and they say, "Hey, it's absolutely wrong what happened there." Talk about Uniswap, talk about Basel III. They talk about shuttering banks that serve crypto and what happened there. They quote Barney Frank. They kind of go through the whole rigmarole. And it's just a fascinating read if you have the time. So as I mentioned, I put it in the show notes, and so if you go to my YouTube channel, you can see it there. I went ahead and also put it in. You can just read it up here if you want to, and I'll go ahead and tweet it for you guys to read. So my recommendation is you look through it yourself, but then also I would print it out and send a copy of this to your congressman and to your senator. There are specific things you can do. And it's super cheap and easy to do. Just print out the whole thing and say, hey, you should definitely read this and realize that this is going on. And this is a regulatory abuse. And they are taking the power away from you, the Congress, and they are taking it themselves. And here's all the risk and damage that's been done. So it's just a great letter to read and a great letter to send. And it's written in a language that they would certainly understand. And again, this law firm really outdid itself in it. So I mentioned every time that people send these types of things to support the industry or to explain what's been happening in the industry and how bad it's gotten with some of these people, I'll definitely read it out. So thank you all for listening. I hope you find some value with this, and I'll tell you, I'll go ahead and tweet this for you to send to your congressman and senator. Cheers.
Hello, fellow adventurers. Are you tired of lugging around those big, heavy, and noisy generators on your camping trips? Well, you're in luck. The Blue Eddy generator is here to make your life easier and your camping experience more enjoyable. Let me tell you, these generators are game changers. They're ultra portable and lightweight, making them perfect for taking on the go. And don't be fooled by their small size. These little guys pack a powerful punch. You can power up your devices, lights, and even small appliances like blenders or coffee makers, all with ease. But here's the best part. The Blue Eddy generators are super quiet. That's right, no more noisy interruptions to your peaceful camping experience. You can power up your gadgets without disturbing the peace and quiet of the great outdoors. And the utility of these generators doesn't stop there. They're also great for emergency backup power during power outages or natural disasters. Keep your lights on and your devices charged, no matter what life throws your way. So why settle for those clunky, noisy, and heavy generators when you can have a portable and powerful solution that makes your camping life easy? In our pinned comments, you will find a link to Blue Eddy. Check them out today.